30 minutes clarinet practice with me, Adrian Cox. A lot of people had said, sent messages and comments asking how was I taught? Like, how did I start my way of learning how to play jazz? And I was taught by a clarinetist, a man called Jack Gilbert, who was a jazz clarinetist who happened to live in the same town as me. And he used to teach at the school where I went to, and I went and had a lesson with, there was me and 3 others, and we did one lesson one week, and I went back the next week and no one else had practiced, but I had. And he said, you need to start coming to my house for private lessons. So that's what I did. By that point, I knew I was into jazz, and I'd been listening. I was 12 years old when I went to him, so I'd been into jazz since the age of 6. So, and I'd also been playing the clarinet since the age of 6. So I knew some tunes and some melodies. There's a tune, one of the first tunes I ever learned was Careless Love. So. So if I took a tune like that, so my clarinet teacher said to me, he said, what do you want to learn? And I said, I want to learn to play like you. And he said, well, you don't want to listen to me. He said, you want to listen to the people that I listen to. That was a very important thing. He said, you might hear that I'm influenced by these people like Edmund Hall and George Lewis, and just examples of New Orleans clarinetists. He said, go and have a listen to them. He said, because you'll suddenly go, oh, Jack has taken things from that, you know. But the basis of what we're talking about, I was like, okay, so how do you improvise over a melody? So if there's your melody, that's when he was saying it was the importance of knowing about chords. And he was saying, he told me, he said, so a piano player is playing a chord, or a banjo player, or a guitarist, and he said, so that tune is in the concert key of F. And he taught me to learn everything in concert pitch rather than learning it in B flat. So whereas we'd say this is an arpeggio of a G, which is, I'm actually thinking that's an F. To me, even though I know I'm going G, B, D, my brain is saying that's an F, because that's what a piano player will be reading. And he said, when you're ever at a gig, they're never going to have the chords written in B flat for you. He said, so learn everything in concert. So you can look over a piano player's shoulder and say, what is that there? So, and then he was saying, you realise that tunes are built up of chords. So, you know, it's playing an F, ba da do do di a, F, ba C, ba do di F. So for us it would be G and a D. So. So he said, so when you look at a piano, he said, the piano is the best thing to know. It's your best friend because it's a map. You can see it. So, and you can hear the notes of the chord are already in the melody of the tune. So. So that was a very good tune to start with, because he said you can hear it. It's going. You can already hear how the chord's being made up and how that melody's being used over that chord. So he said, always be thinking of the melody in your head. But he said, for the starters of improvisation, you know that there's those 3 notes within that chord. He said, you can use any of those 3 notes when it comes to improvisation. So if you know it's an F, so I'm talking in concert here. So, and we know that's a C. So learning your arpeggios, you know, I can go. So I knew that I could use any of those notes. And then you have little passing notes within them. So you go. And it became, all of that became through, to learn how to get through to another chord. You start learning more. And he used to say to me, you know that it's a C, and you also know it'd be a C7. So you could go. So all I was thinking about was arpeggios at that point. And so he got me to read chord sequences rather than reading notation. And then he would say, why don't you just play the arpeggios over the chords? When you see the chord come up, play the arpeggios. So on Careless Love, the whole tune goes. Then you're back to your F. It's an F7, so down the arpeggio. Then go to a B flat, R C. And B flat minor. So I was able to start looking at tunes as chord sequences. And I had this huge map of knowing what notes I could play. So, for example, this is me playing Careless Love, just playing the arpeggios, and how my early improvisation would have been. So you can hear I'm playing every chord within the tune. So that was my homework. And there used to be play along tapes that you used to be able to get, where you just have a rhythm section playing and you'd have these chord sequences. But he also taught me the importance of melody, and that when you are soloing or creating a improvisation on a tune, the melody should always be present. This is just his teaching to me of what I wanted to learn, from what he had learned from listening to New Orleans music and ensemble jazz playing. It's very important when you're playing ensemble music, say in traditional jazz, the trombone, trumpet, clarinet, the melody should always be there. And it's not a set rule that the trumpet player will play 2 choruses of the melody, then the clarinet will take it, then the trombone. It's something that you feel it. You know, I remember playing in bands where the trombone player might come in like, blah, do da, and I might have done the same thing. And my clarinet teacher taught me, he said, never move from what you're doing. He's like, because, you know, two people playing the melody at the same time can mean so much. Same with a harmony. If you jump onto a harmony, say you were doing Creole Love Call, like, and say you came in on that and you went, he said, never move. He said, let the other person move, because if you stick with it, it doesn't matter. Unison is cool. So I learned so much from him, like everything. And every time I went round, I was so excited. And he would always ask me, what do you want to learn? What do you want to know about? And then he would teach me what he knew and how to do it. So I'm going to play Careless Love 3 times round. I'm going to play the melody, and then I'm going to play just playing the arpeggios. like very simply playing the arpeggios. That was one thing that he taught me, was when you're practicing your arpeggios, like, you should find patterns within the arpeggio. So and that's what I spent a lot of my time doing on all the different. Is it just keep making up little patterns and then practice them on all of your arpeggios. So here we go. I'm going to do 3 choruses of Careless Love: the melody, the arpeggios, and then a simplified version of me soloing, but still just on the arpeggios. So leaving space and making sure the melody's there. So hopefully you'll hear the difference between the 3. Now with the melody. So you can hear there's a lot that's going on. You've got all of those notes you can be playing with, and eventually you realise all the passing things like. There's so many more little things that you can add to it. And those things, the little bits in between, he told me that you'll learn those things as you go along. You'll realise those things. You'll be able to jump on bits of the melody. And that was really exciting, discovering that. But that's how my lessons used to be. I'd go around, he'd say, what tunes do you want to learn? He would teach me the melodies of the tunes, and then he would present me with the chord sequence. And there was other things he would say. It was so important to learn the ends of melodies, because so many people learn the first bit of a melody and then they don't learn the end bit of the melody exactly right, you know. But there's still things that I practice today. All of these things, arpeggios, ways of going around an arpeggio, whereas before, as a kid, I was learning. So I'd just be doing loads of patterns on that. And yeah. And then suddenly you learn all these other little bits. still all the stuff that I practice today. And when you hear a lot of those older New Orleans guys like George Lewis, he was always all over the arpeggios and things, like. So that's where it was all of those things were coming from there. And so it was instrumental in learning. And I thought that was the knowledge I got from that, I still use today within everything. If I know that, I'm not thinking about that now because it becomes second nature. But when you're soloing and you're playing and you know what notes you can play, and then you realise you can actually play anything you want. But that all comes with practice, obviously. Anyway, today I just thought I'd give you a little insight into that because a lot of people have been messaging and are asking. I'm currently learning, I'm still on that tune, rehearsing for a nervous breakdown. So I had a... Then there was another bit. And then we're on to the next bit. Then there's a solo. And Buster Bailey's the clarinet player on that. That's his opening line. Straight down an arpeggio. So, get to know your chords, learn your way. If you learn all your chords, you can get around every single tune that's in the book. And then you start learning about other things like diminish. You start learning about augmented thing. You start learning all these other chords. You learn other bits will lead into this. It's so exciting. And you know what? I get so excited by playing the clarinet every single day. I really do. When I wake up in the morning, I get excited to know that I play this. And that's the relationship that I think you should have with any instrument. And you get frustrated with it, of course. There's stuff that doesn't happen. So, yeah. Anyway, so today, as I said, I'm going over that tune that, for those of you who are watching the last video, that's what I was doing, was repeat, repeat. So that's getting more fluent within my playing now. So, but I'm on the end bit of that, so I'm just going to be sat here playing. Stick around, watch. This is the end theme now I'm on. Thing about knowing the chords as well is it helps you to depict a melody as well. So I know the end of that going. So I know that's the end kind of chord thing going on. So I know. So I knew that there was going to be that big. I knew that was coming in the melody. Whilst I'm here, I just want to say thanks to all the people who've been commenting, liking, subscribing, people giving super thanks. That's so incredible. I'm very, very touched. And sharing these videos, of course, He's wonderful. Thank you. All about arpeggios, you see. I'm always thinking about what because once you get the other stuff down, then you can start thinking about your sound, your tone. There's so much to talk about. And it's not stuff that I take for granted, but it's stuff that I don't think about because I've been playing for such a long time and practicing every day. And so I don't. And sometimes it might be hard to actually explain that to somebody, but I hope what I'm saying, and just by watching a little bit, that you are able to take something from it. None of this is a big secret. It's just how you learn. And I was very lucky to have I'm very fortunate to have one of the best teachers ever. He totally understood me and what I wanted to do. So I'm indebted to Jack Gilbert. Yeah. So I know on that song it goes into on this tune. I know that the first chord is going to be B flat. To an F. So it's two chords, B flat and F. And it's making that, because if you say it's only two chords, it's trying to, so essentially it's, so how do you make that exciting? Like just staying on the arpeggios. So there's lots of things you can do. So just staying on that, rhythms, feeling of it, there's so much to talk about. It's wonderful, I love it. So if you think, or try and make that swing, try and make the thing swing like with one note. Like, See what I mean? It's keeping it simple on one note. Yeah. Keeping it simple. That's what happens is, it might not sound simple, but what I mean by that is have a purpose in what you're playing as well. So if we go back to Careless Love now, you know, I'll play you how I would solo on Careless Love, for example. We'll do one melody and then I'll take a solo. Something I would do now. Keep really close to the melody. It's a very hard thing to explain, but I really do hope that you kind of understand what I'm talking about a little bit. And I'm very, the people who are watching this who don't play an instrument or don't play clarinet, who have been commenting saying that they find it very interesting to hear. Thank you very much. It's very, very touching that you watch these videos. Yeah, so today I'm sat here, I'll sit here for another, I don't know, I'll probably sit here for about another 4 or 5 hours. You just, as I say it every time, you just got to make this part of you so that when what you're thinking, you can put onto here. And it's all really exciting. Hey folks, hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learnt a little bit. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying these little videos. I'm gonna get some practice done. See you on the next one. Bye bye.